Hello, everyone. I am LilyMoo961, and today we're going to continue this series in which I ramble about NieR Automata's music. A quick disclaimer, I am very sleep deprived at the moment. I didn't sleep as well as I needed to last night. Should probably be taking a nap right now, but alas, my brain will not calm down enough for me to sleep at this particular time, so here we are. I may ramble a bit more than usual, or I may lose my train of thought more than usual. We shall see. I'll definitely be calmer than usual, but beyond that, things will be the normal chaos that you guys have probably come to expect at this point. So let us begin with the first song that we'll be covering today in NieR Automata's soundtrack, which is Wretched Weaponry, the medium and dynamic version. So one thing that's really cool about this song right away is that the beat is reminiscent of the beat from Wretched Automatons, which is from the original NieR, and particularly the 2010 version. The beat is kind of reminiscent of that right from the start with the mechanical noises and everything, which is just a very neat tie-in, a very cool little tidbit. And also, these two songs are in the same key, which also kind of just it shows that these two songs are a reflection of each other. Wretched Automatons from the original NieR and Wretched Weaponry. And I love the build of this song from how it's a little bit softer and doesn't have vocals at first, but then when the vocals kick in, they're very haunting and just create a really cool mix of eeriness, but with this sort of low-key techno sort of thing. It's very cool. It's a very technological sounding song in the sense that it has this mechanical element to it, but it also has the atmosphere of eeriness, mysteriousness. Is very good for the atmosphere that this song typically plays in the game, which is in the machine factory. And Amy Evans, her vocals in this song in particular is definitely one of my favorites within the soundtrack. I think last time I mentioned that this was in my top 5. and and part of the reason why I like this song so much is because of the incredible vocal work. It's very breathy, but it also has again this sort of eerie quality, but in a way that's melodic, pretty, and showcases sort of like this emotion of hidden despair. It's not like overtly sad, but it has this element of impending tragedy to it, which is part of the reason why I really like this song so much, especially as it pertains to how it's a reflection of Wretched Automatons from 2010's NieR specifically. It's in the... What year did that come out? The 2021 version too. It's like everything's running together in my head because I haven't slept enough, but... And I lost my train of thought too on top of that. Probably really shouldn't be recording this right now with my brain as muddled as it is. But I appreciate that these two songs mirror each other in their compositions, in the fact that oh wait, this part is really good. The way the dynamic kicks in and the percussion is a little bit stronger now. Very, very nice. It's like I'm definitely going to be going off on different directions in terms of tangents. What was I saying before? It's like I got distracted by the music that time because it's in my ear, so it's like I started like grooving to it, and it's just like, oh, this song is so good. Such a fantastic song. Absolutely love the atmosphere that this gives off. And I'm still trying to grasp at what I was trying to say before about the songs mirroring each other. The titles as well. Wretched Automatons for the original NieR game has to do with the machines that are in the junk heap for the original NieR. But in this game, it's for like just the machines. And one interesting component about this song too Story-wise, and I guess this is the point where I should warn you guys about minor spoilers. Well, I suppose this one's more of a major spoiler. So I guess from here on out, expect that there may be some minor or major spoilers for the game if you haven't played it before. But for those of you who've played it before, typically this song plays just in the factory. But in Route C, this song plays in Pascal's village. So I mentioned a minute or two ago, how the way this song sounds is that it has like this element of impending tragedy. And when the dynamic portion of this kicks in, you can really feel that sense of the tragedy has arrived, the destruction has arrived. And it's very poignant because of what Pascal experiences when his village is being attacked by rabid machines, essentially. By machines going berserk. And his village had been a center of peace for the machines because his machine village was a village full of pacifist machines. And so with the villagers kind of going berserk and eating each other and all this different stuff that was happening, and A2 encounters this and, is seeing the destruction of this peaceful place that she had kind of become like somewhat fond of, even though she really hates the machines down to her core. She became fond of this place in part because of 2B's memories and other things such as that. So this particular song has a lot of different story layers to it in reference to the previous game and in reference to just what was going to come up in the game by the time you got to Route C. So it's very interesting. And I really do appreciate this song for the story components, as well as for the fact that it just sounds really good. It's so well composed. It's just a great, great song. Love it, love it, love it. And yeah, that's all that needs to be said for this particular song. So we'll move on to the next one. Next up is Possessed by a Disease. This song in particular invokes the memory of just any time that you get to this particular point in the game where you have to go through the factory with the cult machines, and you get to the main boss area as 2B, and the way that like 9S is chanting to you about because he's about to turn off the lights at this point, and the way that because I can hear Janique Nicole's vocals going right now, the way that she kind of like just has this low timbre. Ooh, it's so good. And the way it builds the atmosphere up to that point where the electricity is cut off, when that beat kicks in, it is fabulous. It is so good. The percussion kicks in. And in the actual game, the lights then cut off and the battle actually starts. And it is like one of the best like hype moments of the game in terms of sheer hype. And you don't necessarily experience like a moment of sheer hype to this level again until the late game. So when it comes to like the sheer hype and fun portion of the game, this song right here just invokes that memory of experiencing that boss battle. And this is pretty much the only time in the game that this song plays. And it has not only Janique Nicole's vocals, but Emmy Evans' vocals. Like really soft, and ooh, she sounds so good. Like this is the song where I feel, this is one of the songs where I feel like the two of their vocals really combine together in a great way. And then you also have like this other choir who is providing more nasally vocals, and it is just so good. It's really impactful, and it's just fun and bouncy, but it's also it's just so good. It's so good. Also in the top 5, and I'm probably going to say top 5 10 times because there are so many tracks on this soundtrack that I love so much to this level where they kind of flip-flop in position for me in terms of ranking. Like it's impossible to actually rank this music in a way that makes sense. So if you hear me say top 5 again and I go over 5 and I end up saying 10 different songs are in the top 5, or like they just recycle because This soundtrack is so good, and this is one of the songs that makes me love it, and I really do wish that it could have been used in the game more, but for the one time that it was used, it was so effective. And I look forward to it every time I play through the game. Every single time I play through the game and I get to this boss, I just look forward to the way this music kicks in, because it only does this during Route A, and it never happens like this again. And it's just so effective, so good. Love the vocals. The vocals in particular just really sell it. And then the percussion, when the vocals drop out and it's just the percussion just going, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Like, I absolutely love it. It's so good because it almost has like a tribal feel, and it's just fantastic. So good. The compositions for this soundtrack are just so impeccably good. Absolutely love it. I don't think I'll ever be able to adequately describe just the amount of fun listening to this soundtrack is and being able to talk about it in this way. Because even though I'm sleep deprived and have been kind of out of it today, just listening to this one song has already boosted my spirits and has already gotten me hyped up. That's just how effective this song is and how powerful the memories I have associated with this song are. It's just one of those songs that make you feel like a boss, and I absolutely love it. I don't really have anything more to say about it. It's just really, really good and fits with the tone of what's happening in the story at this point. Absolutely love it. It's just perfection and so good, so amazingly good. Cheers. The next song that we will be checking out together is called Broken Heart. Oh no, not another one of these. Okay, so this song is kind of similar to Color of Depression in terms of the visceral reaction that it gets out of me. Like, the very first beat is just like this drop in the beat that just feels like, oh, it doesn't feel good. It feels like, you know, like the way a gunshot sounds is how like this music feels when that beat at the very beginning just drops like that. Ugh. Like, not a fan of these. Not a fan. And it's not because it's not composed well or anything like that. It's just taste-wise, it doesn't really work for me. Ah, dear. And this one gets a little bit better later on because it does have like some slight melodic things. So it's not quite as bad to me as The Color of Depression in terms of like the visceral reaction that it coaxes out of me, but it's still not one that I typically listen to. Listening to it now, it's just that beat drop when you have that one beat that just keeps dropping. It's like the one drum. I don't know what type of drum it is, but it's almost like you can just feel it in your chest, and it doesn't feel good. Like, you can feel it just like it hits you in your chest, but then it like sinks down into your stomach kind of feeling. Kind of like how you feel when you receive really bad news and it hits you in your chest and then it sinks down into your stomach. And then I hear vocals now kicking in. I think this is Emmy Evans as well. And well, I mean, she slays as always. She sounds fine. But still, it's like, this is just one of those songs that just does not really work for me. It's effective in the game. I do recognize this song, that it plays one or two times for different side quests. But again, similar to The Color of Depression, it just doesn't really work for me. Specifically because there are just certain aspects of it that just really rub me the wrong way. I don't mind, like, eerie sounding music every now and again, but I guess I just prefer it to not be eerie to the point where it feels like a gut punch to my system. It just, like, it's almost kind of scary is kind of how it feels to me. This track and also The Color of Depression, they kind of invoke these fearful, intense, anxiety inducing kind of feelings in me. So I tend to skip it when I listen to the soundtrack in full. So I guess we'll just move on to the next one. Next up, we have Wretched Weaponry, the quiet version. Now, this song in particular, this version of Wretched Weaponry, you'll typically hear this without the vocals when you're just traversing through the abandoned factory on random side quests and stuff, and you don't typically hear the vocals. But one time you do hear the vocals for the quieter version of this song is after Pascal's village is completely wiped out, and after the portion of the main quest where Pascal returns to the village, if you chose to wipe out his memories for reasons I won't discuss for those of you who haven't played the game. But if you chose to wipe his memories, then this song will play when you go to the village's 9S to talk to Pascal. And it really does have, again, this eerie feeling. But because it's so melodic, it doesn't really invoke fearful feelings as, say, a broken heart or the color of depression. This is definitely more, it's more pleasant to the ear, but it also just contains this element of deep despair. And even though if you chose to erase Pascal's memories and you go to the village and you hear this song and you talk to Pascal, you'll feel that despair because you'll know the results of the choice that you made. And those of you who have played the game know what I'm talking about, and those of you who haven't don't really have a clue. You just know that there's this element of something that creates this situation where you have to erase Pascal's memories, or rather you're given the choice to erase them or do something else. And, context is key. But this song is very effective in putting you in the atmosphere of the aftermath of a tragedy. It's definitely haunting, but it's still also beautiful in a way. But because it's not dynamic or doesn't have the medium dynamics, it's just a bit more somber. And that's really all that needs to be said about this song. This version of Wretched Weaponry is just a bit more somber. And beyond that, it still has the same components of the other version of Wretched Weaponry. This one's just quieter and has a more subdued tone. So I guess we'll just move on to the next song now. The next track that we'll be taking a look into is called Mourning. This song is also haunting and beautiful in its eeriness. It definitely holds that element of tragedy. Sometimes it plays at the end of certain side quests, especially the side quests that have story elements that are important to understanding the full context of the emotional turmoil that some of the characters face later on in the game. And this song also plays at the end of A2's route. So I do feel that this song really does kind of pass over you in that feeling of sadness and grief. It definitely holds that element to it in the way that it is sung. And in certain ways, it reminds me of a Gregorian chant because of all of the contrasting harmonies going throughout the song. And it's really pretty. It's something that you would probably expect to hear at a cathedral somewhere. And it's very haunting and powerful and definitely invokes this emotion. Like, if you've faced grief in your life and you listen to the song and really settle in it and feel it, because when you play the game, you're not necessarily going to settle in it because you'll be ready to do the next thing in the game. You may not necessarily really sit there and listen to it. And again, you may have with the visuals distracting you and other things distracting you, it can, sometimes you don't feel the song while you're playing the game. But as I'm listening to it now, I'm feeling it a bit. And not because it's making me super emotional, but I did lose my mother a couple of months ago. And so, yeah, I can definitely feel the deep despair that this track is going for. Because grief is a weird emotion. It comes and goes. For those of you who watch this that know what it's like to grieve somebody, it's weird. And it's different for every person. There are days where you can move forward and feel fine, not even really think about the loss that you faced, and then something will come and just hit you and settle on top of you, kind of like this song. It'll just settle over you, and then you feel it. Then it's like getting the shock of like that bad news from when you first heard about that person dying, or something else tragic. Like, this embodies not that initial feeling, but the process that a person goes through in the early stages of grief, where sometimes it passes over you easily and it's soft and it doesn't really feel that bad. And then when the vocals in this piece are louder and harsher, it kind of invokes that reaction of just pure pain. And that's kind of what grief is. It's pure pain that oftentimes we don't like to talk about and try to shy away from as much as possible. So oftentimes how we cope with those emotions and experience those emotions without necessarily burdening someone else with those emotions is experiencing them through songs such as this, and in games that have components that relate to our day-to-day lives, that have some semblance of reality, even if it's a work of fiction. So I definitely appreciate this song for that. I didn't mean to quite go on a tangent about it, but yeah, I appreciate this song for what it does concerning that. Next up is Dependent Weakling. Now this song, okay, I absolutely love the arrangement of this song. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the very first time I played this game, and when I actually play the game in general, I'm not paying attention to this song too much, because this is the song that plays when you're fighting Eve. You know, he's mad, he's angry, he's throwing everything at you, and frankly, it's hard to pay attention to the music while you're trying to make sure that you don't get, killed in the game, because the boss fight can be kind of intense, especially if you're trying to speed run the game, because one time I tried to speed run the game, and in trying to speed run the game, you typically enter into these boss fights under leveled. And so this is one of those fights that is very intense, can be very stressful. And so when you're actually playing the game, or at least when I play the game, I can't focus on the music at all. But when I listened to the soundtrack, when I bought this soundtrack for Christmas and actually started listening to the soundtrack in full, and this song came on, oh honey, I have gained an appreciation for Dependent Weakling. It is so good. Fabulous. The vocals, the percussion, the way, the orchestration, it is just like immaculately good. It's fantastic. It has like these peaks and valleys of intensity, and it's just so good. And ooh, the vocals are so good in this. Like, I absolutely love how the choir just soars to the top of the stratosphere with those high notes. It is just fantastic, phenomenal, just really, really good, and really just expresses the pure pain that Eve is actually going through, because, spoiler alert, well, see, I'm trying to save the experience for those who haven't played the game. So I guess I'll just put some time indicators if you want to skip stuff. So when Adam is killed, Eve is feeling this horribly, just he's feeling the grief, he's feeling the pain to the point that he wants vengeance, he wants revenge, and he feels that life isn't worth anything anymore, and he feels that everything around him should just be destroyed. He wants to kill everything. And a really good component of this song is that wait, hold on, the violins, oh my gosh, it's so good, I love it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good, the arrangement of this particular part in the middle of the song. It's just like, it was around like the 2:53 minute mark. Like, just listen to that part and the way the music goes, and then the beat drops out and you just hear the vocals with those brass instruments. Fantastic. It's just so good. It made me lose my train of thought about what I was saying about the story, because the music itself is top tier. Like, oh my goodness. I definitely lacked an appreciation for this song prior to buying this soundtrack, because again, when you're playing through the game, it's really hard to focus on it because of the way Eve is attacking you. But what I was saying before is that this song, in many ways, and the fact that it's expressing Eve's emotions, is almost like a precursor to what 9S is going to be experiencing later. And for those of you who've played the game, you already know what I mean. For those of you that haven't, y'all don't have a clue. Like, I'm really trying hard not to spoil things for those of you who are going to watch this video just to hear me talk about the music. So I don't want to spoil too many story components, but let's just say that the character of 9S goes on a journey. And this song is essentially, it's foreshadowing, in a way, for the type of feelings that 9S is going to have later. So I'll just leave that as a hint. So yeah, this song is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. The arrangement, the composition, the vocals, everything about it is just spot on. And it is one of those hype tracks, but you don't necessarily feel it while playing, because it's a stressful boss fight, let me tell you. But I believe that's all I need to say for this particular song, so we can move right along to the next one. The final song that we will be covering in today's video is Weight of the World, the Japanese version. In terms of music, it's pretty much the same as Janique Nicole's version of the song in terms of just the music composition and how it plays out musically. But we have a different singer. We have, let me read it over here. Marina Kawano is singing this piece. The music is by Keiichi Okabe, and the lyrics are by Yoko Taro. Now, I did find a translation, and I skimmed it before now listening to the song. I think may have looked over them in the past, and the lyrics themselves really have this neat dichotomy to them, in the sense that they can convey 2B's feelings, but they can also just as easily convey 9S's feelings. And because this version of the song plays after 9S's playthrough, so Route B, I feel that perhaps it has more to do with him, because there are certain elements and certain lines in the song that feel more sentimental and have more to do with wanting to spend more time with the person that the singer loves most, and that the world around them is broken. So even though the song is called Weight of the World, the lyrics, as I've read them in the translation, have more to do with a broken world rather than carrying the weight of the world. It's about singing a song of a broken world. And I feel that 9S would probably have a better sense of that, or have, a more sentimental view of the world and his circumstances, especially as those circumstances relate to his relationship with 2B. And he also has his own sins and his own struggles that he's facing internally, that he does not vocalize outwardly. Outwardly, he would seem like a really, bubbly character, like a typical sidekick character, in the sense that when you first encounter him in Route A with 2B, he is the more talkative one. He is the more excitable one. But as time goes on and as the story gets into Route C, which in the next video I'll probably will be spoiling to some degree, a lot of 9S's characteristics change, and we see into his psyche a lot more. We see a lot more of the despair and anger that he's been harboring within this whole time, but that just didn't come out because it didn't necessarily have a reason to come out. And the way I feel like I said her name wrong, I'm sorry. Marina Kawano. Sorry about that. The way she sings, it does feel like a more sentimental song, even though there's still pain to it. But it feels like there's a bit more despair in it than, say, Janique Nicole's version. With Janique Nicole, you can definitely feel the heartache and despair, and this sense that there is this weight on the person singing. But at the same time, there's this element of hope, this element of maybe things being different in the future if they can just find a different way of going about things. But with Marina's version, and from the lyrics that I skimmed, because again, I skimmed them, so I haven't really like read them, it does have this stronger sense of hopelessness, especially toward the end of the song when Marina Kawano starts to break down as she's singing. And she sings it so well, like even while breaking down and crying while singing. Phenomenal. Like, cheers to her for still being able to sing the song even while crying, because that's tough to do. Singing and crying is just, it's rough. And she does such a great job in conveying the emotion. The way that she sings this and the way that she felt those lyrics in the moment when they were recording this, I feel that's definitely why it made it in to the game, with the crying and everything, because it just perfectly contains this loss of hope almost. Because on some level, 9S in particular, in the playthrough that we see, where we see the view of the machines a bit more, it is hinting toward this idea that there was hope, but then as we learn more and more about the other side of the conflict, there's just this sense of foreboding. And there's this sense, especially in 9S's final lines of Route B, like, it really does feel like, there's something foreboding coming. There's more to the story, and on some level you're excited for more of the story to see something different and new, but it's like you can feel the difference between the endings of Route A and Route B. Even though they're essentially the same ending, you can feel the difference because of the context and what 9S has learned. So this song definitely conveys the sorrow and the sort of hopelessness that's beginning to rear its ugly head within the game. So I definitely appreciate this piece for that, and applaud Marina Kawano for her beautiful vocal work on this particular song. You did a fantastic job. So that is all that we will be covering today. Thank you all for watching this video. Thank you for listening to me ramble about NieR Automata's music. I'm really having a great time, and doing this really helps me on days when I'm struggling, and even when I'm just tired, like I am today. I'm just kind of tired and out of it, and have been under a lot of stress. So this has been fun for me, and no matter how many views there are or how many likes there are, whether there are no likes or whatever, like, it doesn't even really matter, because I'm just happy to be able to share my feelings about this soundtrack with you all, to whoever may watch, to whoever may experience these videos and enjoy them. I hope that the work that I'm putting into this project, which admittedly isn't a whole lot, but but I hope the work that I'm putting into this project is something that can be a blessing for all of you, the way it's been a blessing for me to be able to just sit here and chat and relax and make just fun content that can, be positive. And I hope that you guys have been enjoying it so far, and hope that you will continue to enjoy the rest of the videos in this crazy series once I record them and once they're up and all of that goodness. So next time we will be finally diving into disc 3 of NieR Automata's soundtrack. I hope that you guys will stop by, and once more, thank you for watching. God bless you all. Love you all. Bye bye. Mwah.